So, guys, since we're talking about stuff,
Yes.
then outside of the Quest 2, what was your first VR
It
experience?
was the original HTC Vive, so I don't think it was the development kit version. It might have been the development kit version. Well, my friend had it years and years ago. I remember playing
Okay,
Super Hot, Drunk or Dead, or Drunk or Die, whatever it's called, and one of like the labs games where you
okay.
fire arrows and whatever. Um,
Was that your first? Was that your very first complete VR
yeah, yeah.
experience, or was it?
First,
Would you say it was your sixth off
first.
experience?
No, no, no. That was first. And then I looked into
Hmm.
like Google Cardboard, and like, in fact, I did buy an actual cardboard one. You stick your phone in, which is
Yeah.
obviously 3 DOF rather than 6. But yeah, that was my
So my
first
first
six.
experience was actually my first proper VR experience was with a mutual friend of ours, which I'll remain unnamed just for purposes of the public video going
Yeah,
public.
yeah.
But I think you know who I'm talking
Uh-huh.
about. She had one of the phone ones.
Ah, yeah,
That was my first experience with using VR until it freed
yeah,
off. And you know what? I must admit, I felt a bit
yeah,
underwhelmed.
yeah, yeah,
I can't lie.
yeah.
I was very underwhelmed by it at that time. And then my brother texted me once, just 2017. I always remember because it was the first time I tried it was the same day that Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fought.
Ah,
So it was
right.
August
Yeah.
2017. Um, he before he talks me, oh, I've got an Oculus Quest. I was like, what's not, no, not Oculus Quest, sorry, an Oculus Rift. I'm thinking, what's a
Ah, right.
Rift?
The riff.
I do nothing. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know
yeah.
anything. So he explained it to me, and he explained about obviously HT Vives and all that kind of stuff. It was just like it's sorry, I just muted my mic there.
Yeah,
So technical issues. And he put me onto the Oculus, like the first, kind of like the first steps, which is where you go have like a giant dinosaur and all
oh,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Um, and that was pretty cool. And then went into Super Hot.
So that is
And
that is
then,
a
so me
perfect
and
first
Jack,
game. I think it really, because it's so stylized, and it's like that
yeah,
is the perfect. A lot of people's
it's
first
easy to
VR
follow
game,
into
yeah,
it.
and also that the mechanics of dodging the bullets and the time moving when you move, it's something that it suits VR. That's why it came out years ago, and it's still like a great VR game because it is basically made for VR. It takes advantage of. You couldn't do that on a games console. You wouldn't get the same feeling.
But you know, the first one with the first DK1 kit when they played Super Hot was actually played with an Xbox
Oh
controller.
right, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, with the
So,
phone, yeah, yeah,
should we walk and explore as
with
we
the
talk? So,
with the 3DOF ones, the phone ones.
so
I knew that
the original
wasn't.
Oculus
Yeah,
CV1. Sorry,
I
go on.
knew that wasn't an actual VR experience because I'd already been in actual VR. But I know a lot of people that is their first air quotes. I can't do air quotes with these hands, but air quote VR.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, yeah, there
That's
we
it, air quote.
go. Yeah, so that was thing. It's a shame I can't turn this room on so that we can hear each other wherever it's still directional. So
I'm just going to move
yeah,
backwards as
right.
well so I can still
Yeah,
see it as
and
we
just
walk.
slowly glide along.
But yeah, so obviously Jack had lighthouses, it taught me how it worked, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I immediately afterwards started looking at the cost of what it would be. But you're talking there, because at the time it was when it shipped with touch controllers,
Oh, of
because
course, yeah,
when the original CV1
yeah.
shipped, it only shipped with an Xbox controller. There was no such thing as touch or
Okay.
motion controls
So
at
we
that
didn't have
point.
the actual
They did not
controllers.
exist. They were an they were an add-on after, because obviously Oculus, like a lot of, was a
Yeah,
Kickstarter,
yeah.
very successful Kickstarter. It was Kickstarter. Palmer Lockey was one of the original
Ah,
founders, which I know many people know that
yeah.
already.
We could just stand here.
But
This is quite a nice, cool place to
um,
stand. There we go.
yeah, yeah, it'll be cool. So yeah, then obviously it weren't financially viable for me to get one. Not only for buying a gaming PC, I saw like I think it was like
Yeah,
£1,000.
yeah,
I could have
yeah.
got a gaming PC and Oculus, but even then, 2017, my son was being born. It wasn't viable. I had nowhere to put one, and I still don't have
Yeah,
anywhere to put one
yeah,
right now. Really, to have a gaming PC, I've got no space for one. But me and I like gaming night, so I started things like Call was a game. I Expected to Die was another game, and there's a few other indie games I can't quite remember the name of that we played as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
Um, um, but it's just, and then a couple of years ago, so
yeah,
2019,
yeah.
I started looking into it again. I thought, oh, I'm just going to look into VR again. And then that's when I first came across Virtual Reality Oasis.
And
And I
it's
came across the
amazing
original
how
Oculus
far it
Quest
has
1.
moved on, and we're getting it. I don't want to say the golden age at the moment, but there's so much, especially recently. There's so much kind of advancements and moving
I'll
forward.
put it this way. This is it. When I found out about original Oculus Quest 1 and I wanted one so badly, but again at the time, it just wasn't financially viable. To have one, but I harped on about it so much, and it's almost like perfect timing. Mrs. finally came. Oculus Quest 2 came out. It's a cheaper headset. It's a more powerful headset. And yet here I am. I mean, I still want a Quest 1, don't get wrong, and that's more for collection reasons.
You say more
powerful, but
it's the Rift, as far as I know, doesn't have any processor or anything in it, because it is just a PC VR headset.
No, it's not standalone.
So it's like, you've got the display, although I'm not sure what the displays are like on these compared to the Rift.
No, this is a high resolution. This is a high. The Quest has a higher res. I mean, it's a hybrid headset. It's PC VR and, but I mean, I still want a Quest 1. I mean, I'd even have an Oculus Go, because Oculus Go was the first stab at, but that was another freed-off. Headset. With a singular controller.
It was almost like the phone headset things, but they were just like, oh, let's have the phone.
But I think it was a step. For me, that was a stepping stone for Oculus. I think would stand alone, but would people be interested in standalone? Not long after, I think it was a year later, May 2018, when Go came out, and then May 2019, it only got the Quest 1, and then October 2020, almost perfect timing with COVID. Quest 2, I mean, put it this way, my sister's got one. My sister's been a gamer.
No, that's true.
My mum and dad, who are both in their 60s, my mum and dad are in their 60s this year. They have one. They've got a Quest.
It is the perfect for the price. It's still quite a bit of money. You've got to have a spare at least like $300 for the this one, for the base one.
£300.
You've got to have it there, but for what you can do, it's worth it.
You have it if you need to get into VR. You've got your motion controls
and these I do really like these controllers. Okay, you're not getting all of the finger tracking that you get from the index controllers. But I just like the fact that they are touch sensitive. The fact that when you put your thumbs on top, like every button on top, so you can be quite natural, and you can kind of do most of the gestures. And obviously, I know in pretty limited in alt space, but in VR chat, there is more gestures you can do with your hands with various combinations, and they do kind of match up with what you do with your hand in real life. So they're quite easy to pick up, and
But it's interesting you say that though, because of what's this headset capable of. This headset was an update on the original Quest 1. It came in September, Oculus Connect 6, so only 4 months after the headset was launched. They said, oh, by the way, we're adding hand tracking. And also, this is the feature you've been able to have on the Quest 2 from the beginning. A standalone headset.
Although I think
hand tracking, we know additional hardware.
The hand tracking wasn't. It was in one of the updates, wasn't it? I don't think it was enabled. It wasn't enabled right off the bat. They were kind of testing it, but it was obviously a planned thing, because it's not perfect, but the fact that it's just like I didn't even realize that there would be possibilities of hand tracking capabilities, and then I got it, ran the update, and it's like hand tracking, and I was like, what? This thing can do that as well? I didn't even know that when I bought it. You know what I mean? It was just an extra.
It's interesting because some games are getting hand tracking. So there's 2 games I can think of recently. You have Vacation Simulator, which is obviously the sequel to that's got hand tracking, and Cubism have just got hand tracking updates. So they're not hand tracking experiences, but they've been given hand tracking.
And it does work really well for games like that, especially like from what I've seen of Cubism, with it being the puzzles. You're physically grabbing the blocks, and it doesn't matter as such if the tracking's not perfect, because you're only really using it for like the grabbing motion kind of thing. You're not like some games where you're gonna have to do really precise things. But it's definitely.
It's like with that one from App Lab. What was it called? What was one from App Lab called? Tiny Castle.
That's interesting.
And First Steps is also.
And also they're making games specifically. That is their aim. It's like, this is a hand tracking game, so the things we are going to put in the game and the game mechanics work really well for hand tracking. It's purposely made.
It's like Elixir. Elixir was Elixir's more like a tech. I'd say
I,
Elixir's
I
more
was
like a
going to
tech
say that,
demo.
yeah. Elixir for me was a tech demo, very short, but it gives you multiple things, like you're getting used to pressing stuff, picking things up, using a gesture to teleport, you know, where you point to like where you want to go.
And
And then
yes,
also
using hands
there's also that,
instead of using a joystick like we use a
yeah,
joystick.
there's also that fun thing of like, I know when I put my hand in the vat and it turned my hand into like tentacles, it's just showing that kind of stuff. So that's pretty
And
good.
it's weird. And but then you got Waltz the Wizard, which obviously is on the same lines, but that's had an update recently for Quest 2, so it's optimized for Quest 2, and there's also a bit of a. So you've got the bit again very similar. You know, you do spells and stuff like that, but there's a bit where you can walk around. And you have to defeat these knights, and you're using your hands for motion.
That's quite good.
So Waltz the Wizard for I think it's $10.99 at Oculus Store.
Yeah.
Is definitely worth picking up as well.
Cool.
But it's like First Steps, so Oculus is moving in that direction because First Steps now also has in App Lab.
The weird thing is, I don't know if Oculus have done that. I feel like someone else has modded the, or is it on App Lab properly now, or is it just on SideQuest? Because I got the impression that Oculus hadn't added the hand tracking. I had an impression that it was like someone else's mod for it.
It's on App Lab, so it's not. But I must admit, I can't lie. In my experiences, I've had better because I've got Hand Physics Lab, which I got from SideQuest, which interestingly is now going to the official Oculus Store.
That's good. Like that obviously is a tech demo.
Hand tracking, great.
I've got my mic settings open there. Yeah, it is basically a playground.
It's like a sandbox experience.
But it's similar to is it Labs on PC on Steam's show off app. Loads of little mini games and stuff, and you know you have to do certain things, getting you used to it.
Yeah.
But that's really fun to play, and it's got little mini games. I think when I first played, you know, I said on the Vive, just a little one where you're shooting arrows, and it's getting you used to actually doing the motion of, you know, like pulling a bow and actually firing it. And the weird thing is, when I played that, my mate, he said to me, he's like, oh, you know, here's the basics, you'll get used to it and whatever. But it was so natural, the fact that everything's in front of you in 3D. I remember I was on like a castle wall, so it was almost like this, and I saw the enemies, and then they came towards me and they went out of my sight. So naturally, I literally went like this, and I leant over and shot him and got the guy in the head. And my mate's like, how did you know you could do that? I'm like, I didn't. I just figured that the wall's in front of me, I'll look over it. So like my brain completely.
That's the immersion.
That was a breaking. That was a real pivotal point when I realised, I'm like, okay, it's still got a way to go, but that was really good. Yeah.
I remember when I played with my brother for the first time. I remember playing Super Hot, right? And I was like, duck down like this, getting ready to shoot over, and I went to go lean on the wall.
Right.
But there was no wall there, so I fell
I do that quite often.
But
like now, I'm tempted to just kind of rest my arm on here, and I have to keep reminding myself that there's not actually anything there.
It's funny though. Look, watch my hand. I can rest my arm on there because I'm sat on my sofa right now. So look, my hand just stops.
I'm stood up. I don't actually even know what's here in my room. So, I'd like to introduce everyone to our podcast studio in development. There we go. Managed to get the logo in there. I think the mic's still on the floor down there for some reason.
Yeah.
Oh no, it just reset itself.
No, it's just now up here. There.
I will make mic stands.
So we went through a couple of names. We were going to go with Slightly VR, but because Gaz is out of Slight and I'm VR Slights on my
it's just a lot of slides.
Instagram, we thought. But we just, since we both really Quest owners, and that's the first VR we actually owned ourselves properly, we thought Reality Quest might be more suitable.
And we figured that we'd just concentrate on Quest things because we don't have gaming computers, and our kind of the majority or everything we do VR related at the moment is Quest, and we've both been getting into keeping up to date on the news. Obviously not just Quest news, but you know, any new games or things for the Quest. Obviously that's what we're interested in because that's what we primarily 100%. Use. And let's see what's around here.
It's like, but obviously the Reality Quest could also work for Quest into more VR stuff later. I've already expressed to Gaz.
Not just.
I'm interested in the next PlayStation VR, which has now been announced to come out next year.
Yes, that looks exciting.
But obviously, that's still going to be. It does look exciting. Have you seen the controllers?
Yeah. I say they've leaked. They've not. They've released pictures of the controllers.
Yeah, it's not leaked. They've done it on purpose.
Done it on purpose. Yeah.
Building up that.
In fact, they've only done that because they didn't want developers to leak. Air quotes again. They didn't want developers to leak. Because the reason is because they're obviously sending them to the developers at the moment to say, okay, we've not finished the headset and stuff yet, but here you go, start making your games work with these. And obviously the developers already have the platform of the normal PlayStation VR, and obviously they've already got the tools to develop games for like the PlayStation 4 and 5. So really, as long as the headset.
I've realised there's a VR headset right there.
Oh yeah, there's actually a VR headset in VR.
Interesting, but yeah, because obviously the PlayStation. I mean, the original. I think the numbers were the original PlayStation VR sold 5 million units.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
It was before the Quest came along. It was a lot.
It was either 5 million or 3 million, one or two, but it was a lot.
And it was a lot of people's first VR experiences, and while not the greatest, using the PlayStation Move controllers and the normal controller, the DualShock or whatever it's called, DualSense, whatever, I don't know.
I think the biggest thing for PlayStation VR was, I've got no first-hand experience, but the biggest thing people said was the setup.
Yeah.
Because you have to set up the camera had to be in a set position, so it could track the headset and track the controllers. Instead of infrared, it tracked the lights.
Which is why the PlayStation 4 controllers at the moment have. I mean, there was some games similar to the Move controllers. I remember having the PlayStation Eye camera and the Move on PS3, and the games were like, it was in between. It wasn't VR because obviously we're looking at your screen. It was more AR because like I had the virtual pet one. So like it knew where your floor was, and you interacted, and you could see yourself on the screen, like interacting with the pet using the controllers, which turned into
this is what's really exciting.
Tools and feeding stuff. And anyway, carry on.
I think that's what's really exciting about this announcement is that, like they said, the Move controllers, they came 2 years before the PSVR was even a thing. They were already controllers. They just I don't know, jerry-rigged them.
And at the time, they were interesting because they were using tracking methods, which, so for example, I know the Wii used, it was almost like inside-out tracking for the Wiimotes. Obviously, you had your bar on the top of your TV, which was basically just an infrared light or two lights, and your controller, as well as the Move, the kind of gyro information, which is similar to kind of what's happening now with these. It's like it's part gyro and it's part looking at the array of LEDs that are
the tracking rings.
So to have,
it's like me, I'm tracing the tracking.
To have that technology that they already had, and they were like, oh wait a minute, this is kind of the perfect. So obviously when they did the PSVR, it had got the 4 or 5 lights on, and they just went, oh, we'll just track a certain coloured light and the orientation.
But again, it was a bit of a barrier to entry because the PSVR when it first came out was like what, £450 just for the headset and the controls. The whole unit was £450. And then you had a console on top of that.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas it's like with the Quest, when you set the Quest up, 5 minutes it took to set the Quest up. You're in VR.
Now, obviously, coming to one of the downsides of the Quest is the whole Facebook thing. Me personally, I was hit and miss. It's like I have a Facebook account anyway. I can see how people are getting worried that, basically you're handing over all your data to big companies. It's like Google. I have so many. I've got 3 Google
Instagram,
Home devices,
Facebook,
and as well as their software platforms as well. WhatsApp and Instagram and. So it's kind of like, unfortunately, that what you've got to remember as well is, unlike this, the actual social media side of it is they are doing a lot of things and providing a service for free. And as people say on the internet, if something's free, the payment is you are their guinea pig and they are using your data, and that is in the terms and conditions. That is it. But the downside to this is it's like, well, people are like, well, I've just paid for a device, why am I still kind of being a guinea pig for that device? Like, if you had a setting where you could opt in. So I do wish that it did make it easier, the fact that, I mean, you'd have to get an Oculus account anyway. You know, it's like, oh, here's the marketplace, here's the ecosystem for the games and apps. So you're going to need an account. But then when they said, oh, you've got to merge your Oculus with Facebook, people were like, oh no.
This is the thing though, it's just like, it's almost like that privacy thing. As soon as you get a smartphone, privacy thing, the ship is sailed, it's gone.
Yeah. In fact, is it over there somewhere?
Gone, so
the privacy ship.
It's over there somewhere.
Over there.
Over there in the horizon. But like you said to me, I've got a Facebook account. I've had a Facebook account since 2008 to be precise. So I've had a Facebook account now for 13 years.
Yeah, same.
So, you know, Facebook, I've had 13 years worth of data collection on me. Same. To me, getting Oculus Quest makes no difference.
But now they're tracking your head movements. They're tracking your head movements. They know how you move your head. See, I'm still like, I understand where people are coming from. And I do wish that.
Does it really bother you though? Obviously it doesn't, because you've got
No, I do wish I still wish I had the choice though, and obviously people haven't got to get too comfy, and obviously everyone has already, but people don't have to get too comfy with companies.
Question for you then.
Kind of having all this data.
If you could jailbreak your Quest, would you? If you could root it and jailbreak your Quest, would you?
Yes, but
is the question.
The downside is it's the whole thing with the whole side loading, and then Facebook giving you the message saying, this is against terms of service. Even if you just install a normal app the first time you do it from SideQuest, depending on the app, sometimes you will get the message pop up saying, or if you mod a game, which I know is a grey area for modding, you do get a message saying this is against terms of service. We could ban your Facebook, and that's what scares people as well, because obviously if you've got years and years of your photos and things on Facebook, and you get your Facebook.
If Facebook really wanted to, they would have done it.
Yeah, and
if they wanted to, Facebook would have done it by now. I mean, because their answer to this now is App Lab.
Yeah.
How many apps have you seen now go to App Lab? I mean, put it this way, right? Full disclosure, I had my Oculus account.
Yeah.
I got my Oculus account like some point in 2019 when I first heard about the Quest, because I had every intention of getting one, but you know, like I said, as we discussed before, and then when I knew I was getting the Quest 2, but I had to wait for a specific date when I had the funds. Basically, I knew the Quest came out on the 13th of October. Quest 2, that is. I got mine on 1st November, just for clarity. My point is that I had my SideQuest account. I had everything set up, and my account linked, my Oculus account linked to Facebook. It was ready. So that's within the first week of getting my Quest. I used SideQuest, same as you did. You used SideQuest in your first week.
Well, actually, I think it was the first day. It was the first day, because I straight away I'm like, right, I want to unlock every possibility of this device that I've just spent a fair bit of money on. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm the same with phones though, and with it being an Android device, the amount of phones I've rooted, so I was like familiar with the whole ADB and side loading and everything being APKs. So it was kind of like, well, hey, I know how open Android can be. Obviously it's a custom version, lockdown, you know, all this, but I'm like, there is so much potential there that I think people have not even touched upon. And as soon as they do, I'm just going to be straight on there and seeing like what other things I can get this thing to do, basically.
But this is it. I mean, I think side loading is always going to be a thing for it. And like I said, I think App Lab is Oculus's answer, because they can't ignore SideQuest. Because I must admit, as much as people said that I haven't known one person yet getting a device bricked or blocked because using SideQuest. The only times I have used it with its Quest 2 is when people made a fake Facebook account.
I think as well, it's if people are getting pirated APKs of games or something.
That's why SideQuest is good, because SideQuest, they check their content. So when you look through SideQuest, it's not blacklisted. They check it. But that's the thing. When I installed BMBF to get custom songs on Beat Saber, which is obviously, this is where it's a grey area, because it's like, do you own the songs? You know what I mean? Technically you're getting a copy of the song. Every custom song you get, you are essentially downloading a copy of the song. It just has extra data with it, you know, for the level. But when I installed that, I got the message saying, oh, this is not a legit
this is a modified, your Beat Saber APK has been modified, because obviously it has to mod the app, but it's like, well, I paid for Beat Saber. I didn't get a pirated copy of Beat Saber. I got the game, and then I was just like, at some point I was like, you know what, as much as the packs you can buy are good, I want, or more. What if you're a music maker yourself, and say you want your own, you might make music yourself and decide, oh, it'd be cool to be able to make maps for some of my own songs.
Beat Saber. My song in Beat Saber.
And then you could happily share it. Admittedly, people don't. It's the same as the argument about torrents. Companies who have free software make torrents of their own free software, and on the site sometimes you get the option, because it's faster to peer-to-peer download it than it is to just download it from their server. So obviously there's legal cases for things like that, and it's like, that's why it's this grey area. It all depends what you're doing with it.
Well, this is it. I mean, but it's one of those things. It's something to. I mean, piracy is one of those things. I'll never condone piracy.
Yeah.
I'll just not condone it. It's just one of those things. I know people have their own mixed reviews on that, but it's one of those things. Here's why I don't like piracy. Okay, you enjoy that content.
Yeah.
You're not willing to pay for it. If everyone had that same mindset, and
no more is going to get made.
Where's the investment to make the content?
And no one's going to spend the time and go, I'm going to learn how to become a games developer. There's going to be no market for it if everyone does that. But on the flip side, not condoning it or anything, but I do wish a lot more games and things had demos, so that then you can decide whether you want to spend your money. But also at the same time,
I agree.
I do quite like Oculus's refund policy. It can be abused because, like, it is 2 hours of the app being open, not so much playtime. Like if you've got it running for 2 hours or 14 days, so if you buy it and you've not had chance, you're like, oh, I'll jump into this I've bought. Like I've done that recently because I bought Virtual Desktop. Don't have a gaming computer, but I thought, oh, it might be interesting. I can still get my desktop in it as long as your router's not bad. You can still get your desktop and stuff. But then I sat there, played around with it. I'm like, this is cool, but it's not. I'm not going to get much use out of it at the moment. Now. So I will in the future if I have a use for it. Now I know what the interface is like and I know it's going to work, then I'll happily repurchase that again when it fits, when I have a use for it.
When it fits your needs.
Yeah.
It's like right now, again, going back to the whole gaming PC thing, right? I'm now looking at a gaming laptop, but the only problem with a gaming laptop is I'm literally spending double the money what I would need to on a desktop to get what it needs to run VR. I mean, I have seen one that's about £600, but it would just run VR.
Specs. Yeah, and also at the moment now is not a good time to buy a computer, especially not for gaming, because of the whole, people blaming the miners and COVID and everything for the GPUs. And in fact, Linus from Linus Tech Tips did a video. I think it was a few days ago. I watched it earlier on today. Basically about his prediction about how there'd be a shortage for COVID, and he said, well, actually my reasons were wrong, but some of them were right, like his predictions. And then he goes into why there's a shortage, and because obviously the companies estimated how many they'd need to make. As with anything, if you're making the silicon that goes in the graphics cards, you're a factory, say.
Yes.
And there is, I think he said there's like one or two big factories that make everything.
Silicon shortage, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a silicon shortage right now.
Yeah, and it's the fact that they went, oh, well, we'll cut down production. And now what's happened is they're running at 100%. So if anyone comes along and says, oh, can we have a little bit more? They're now going, well, no, we're running at 100% capacity just because we under-prepared because we didn't think. It's gone kind of slightly the opposite way to what we thought.
I agree. So it's just like, I mean, my personal circumstances, I'm not going to obviously announce them here, but it's just like, again, this year, it's not going to be viable for me to get a gaming laptop. Yeah. If the opportunity came up to get me a good deal, don't get me wrong, I'd look into it.
Yeah.
Right now, as it stands, can't happen. But having said that, I don't need to. There's so much on here that I've yet to explore. I got the 256 gig version of the Quest, and I've got 70 games and apps on here, and I've not completed all of them yet. Nowhere near.
Mine's only the 64 gig version, and I've still got a fair bit of space left. Obviously, I need to remember to delete videos that I put on and whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like, for me, how I got my Quest is I got it through my work.
Yeah.
Just so people know. A bit like a sacrifice thing, and that's how. Because I had it. I future-proofed myself. That's why I got the 256
So I'm
gigabyte,
guessing,
for example.
was it almost like? Do you say it was almost like finance, where they take a bit of it from your wages or something to like
Wages,
subsidise?
yeah. So what it is, to put it this way, there's a UK electronics retailer which people will know.
Yeah.
It was is it combined to one? You're putting all which ones I'm talking about now. And for our work, we
Tesco Asda.
Curry's PC World.
Oh, not Tesco. No.
Okay. So it's Curry's PC World, right? And long story short, from my work, every year I can get £1,000 voucher to spend, and obviously that comes off as a salary sacrifice, so I can spend it on whatever I want.
Yeah, but you've kind of got it there.
I can take it in little bits. I can take it in little bits. So when it got restarted again, because I used it to get a laptop last year for my wife, but it resets. It's just like, right, now you use it to get the Quest.
Yeah.
And here we are.
And that's the thing.
That's
so it's weird because we said we'd stick to Quest stuff, and we've kind of gone on tangents about other VR. But it's the way VR is going. But like you said, I'm happy with the capabilities and what I can do with just a standalone headset. The only downside, which I know I've said to you a lot, and we've been trying to find a way, is if I stream from it, if I stream to Facebook, great. But I tend to want to stream to Twitch because that's where kind of the bigger user base is.
Think about this though. Would OBE not let you just stream the audio or stream to Facebook? If you streamed it to Facebook on your laptop, wouldn't OBE let you then put it onto Twitch?
Yeah, but it'd have to like restream. But the problem is then, even if I'm streaming to Twitch, my problem I have is I can't get Twitch chat in here. If you've got PC VR, you can get things where you can pin the chat, which is all through virtual desktop and stuff. You can pin browser windows.
It surprises me that someone's not even sideloaded that yet. The fact you can get Twitch,
Android can do overlays. Like at the moment, if we bring up the menu, it's overlaying one app on top of the other. You can have HUDs, you can have things showing. In fact, there's an app. Like the Oculus Fit app or whatever.
When you press the Oculus button, isn't it? You press the Oculus button and your menu comes up live in the app.
But when you get the Oculus Fit or whatever it is, the notifications, you can now get in some games, it'll pop up. In fact, there's another third-party game or something that allows you to do a really similar thing. So they've obviously managed to be able to put an overlay on whatever other games you play. So I don't know.
I think now because there's more people using the Quest and more people want to stream. Obviously, here's the problem: Facebook will want you to cast it to Facebook, not Twitch.
That's true.
There's a problem because it's a Facebook product.
I don't think you can do it natively to Twitch or YouTube at the moment. Someone did say that it was coming.
You can to Facebook though. This is the thing, obviously. So it's possible.
Yeah.
Because when you did it the other day, I left a comment. I said, "Oh, look, I can hear your voice." And you said you responded
because basically, we've got the HUDs here, it pops up a HUD with your comments and the reactions and how many viewers you've got and stuff, and that's what other things need. But basically,
I think the only way that's going to happen with Twitch at the moment, potentially. I mean, having said that, you can log into Twitch using a Facebook account as well.
So what Twitch have got to do is get an app, whether it's just a standalone HUD app that you run on the Quest, or whether it's integrated in like the Twitch app itself. They need to do it and then get what's it called? Approval by Oculus in the Oculus store to run the overlays and stuff and say, here's our use case scenario for it. Let us do it.